Fellow Ludomaniacs, this is Letter Jam, and all I can say is that I hope you like jamming too, because I want to jam some letters with you. Look, I found another box. Same size, same company, totally real, not digital. I'm not pretending to still own my copy of Codenames. You might have heard of it. It's only the most successful word game since Mousetrap. And ever since then, publisher Czech Games have been trying to recreate that success with multiple spin-offs and other word party games. And will this be that game that jams down that Codenames crown? No, of course not. But I do like it better. At the start of each game, each player will get 5 letters, or 4 or 6 if they feel skittish or brave. They form a word either made by another player or by scanning the cards with an app. The letters are shuffled and handed face down so that you have no idea what your word is, nor should their order give you any hints initially. Your job, one by one, is to guess those letters, but not the word. What? How does that work? Surely if you guess all the letters, you guess the word, right? The other way around is just stupid. Is it stupid though? Or is it genius? I really want to end on it is stupid because comedically the timing works really well, but from a kind of logical perspective, it doesn't really make any sense. So I've ruined it, haven't I? Letter Jam is a cooperative game. I'm trying to guess my letters, but I'm also trying to help my friends guess their letters. What's so hard about that? They're just letters like C, W, or 21. Actually, W isn't really a letter, it's just 2 U's combined. It's nonsense. Where this becomes really hard is that I cannot see my own letter, but everyone else at the table can. And of course, I can see everyone else's letters, but they can't see their own. Oh, this is so good. So obviously, I want to help my friends figure out what their letters are, but the only way I can do that is by forming words out of the letters that I can see, which can be my friends' letters, or they can be bonus letters depending on player count, and one wild letter at the center of the table. And now that we've got our ingredients, let's see what kind of jam we can make. Oh, maybe we can have a different set of letters. I'm not sure about those. Okay, that's better. In fact, I can immediately see 3 potential words I could make. Male, lame, and meal. Both use letters from 2 players, and none of them use the wild letter, which, believe it or not, is a good thing. And for the sake of this example, let's just say that I'm going to go with male. First, I would have to pitch my clue to the other players, but for now, let's just say that they accept it. Then I would effectively spell the word out, just not out loud, but by placing a numbered poker chip in front of people's letters. And this is the cool bit. From my perspective, I can see the entire word. From Borg's perspective, we can see ale. And from Vagabond's perspective, we can see meh. At which point, Porg and Vagabond realize that I am, in fact, an idiot. Here's the problem. Porg needs to work out his letter. He knows that the clue I gave him has to be an actual word, and all he's missing from that word is 1 letter. But the potential combinations he can make are pale, tail, bale, sail, hail, gale, kale, dale, and because proper nouns are allowed, even ones made up by popular culture, also nail, the evil twin arch nemesis of Elan from the Order of the Stick webcomic. And Vagabond isn't feeling so hot either because he's got mace, main, make, and others. Much like in Scrabble, each turn I am faced with a puzzle, and that puzzle is a toy and a challenge at the same time. I want to come up with the best clue possible, but uniquely, I want that clue to be unlike anything else. The less usual it is, the less potential variations, the better the clue. I also have to consider whom this clue serves best. If I came up with Maven, then it's a terrible clue for someone whose letter is M, because they could come up with Raven or Haven, but it's an excellent clue for someone whose letter is E. And if they're behind, I might want to give this clue anyway, because unless their cousin's name is Mavon, they're probably going to guess it right. But unlike Scrabble, you're not playing a rubbish area control game with its own actual vocabulary and restrictions dull as dishwater. I think the perception that a lot of people have is that Scrabble is a game about wits and who has the better vocabulary, but the reality is that frequently it's just a game about remembering all the two-letter combinations you can ad hoc onto other words, or remembering words like Weasley. Every rule in Letter Jam has been expertly crafted with one focus in mind. How can we make this more fun for the people playing the game? If it's the first time you're giving a clue, you get a red pip from this flower. If it's the second and onwards, you have to take a green one. Sounds like nonsense? Of course it does. It's a flower made out of plastic pips in a game about letters, and for some reason, and I still haven't figured out why, jam. That's until you realize that this diddly flower is the game's timer. Once all of the pips are gone, that's it. Game over. But if you manage to get all the red pips off first, you unlock an extra green pip, which is of course an extra turn. That way, the game encourages everyone to speak up and give a clue. It's not forceful, because if you're not, for example, very much comfortable with the, what's the right words, it's just a little nudge of encouragement. See? More fun. How was that? Yeah? Every time you're given a clue, you get to write it down on your little screen. That way, if your clue was rubbish, hopefully by combining it with another word, you'll zero in on what that letter is. And at the end of the round, you can choose to put your letter down and reveal a new one. But you can never come back to this. Now at the end of every round, I get to ache whether I want to push the timer and be the person that everyone's feeling responsible for, because I'm still only on my second letter, or confidently pretend that I know exactly what's going on, even though in my head I'm fully aware that there's like 3 different letters that this could be, but I've done it out, it's fine, it's fine. It's fine. And the awesome part is that Letter Jam lets you make that decision. At the end of the game, you don't need to show that you know what the word you've been given is. You don't need to show that you know what the letters are. You just need to rearrange them so that when you flip them over, it spells out a word. Any word is fine, even if it's not the one that's been given to you. That way, the game lets me take risks, more fun, and it's more theatrical as everyone waits with bated breath as you flip these letters over one by one. Oh, it's so good. Let's just see if I actually manage to make it make sense. We've got an S, a U, an S, and a D. See, I'll take that as a win, because acronyms technically are also fine, so I'm not gonna complain about it. And whilst I'd never argued that Letter Jam is the best deduction game in the world, it's not meant to be. Appropriately, the main ingredient here is letters and words. And working it out, that's just that stick of cinnamon to spice up this lexical marmalade. And because it's cooperative, you've got those lovely moments of cheering with excitement when everybody flips their letters into actual words, or genuine when somebody gives you an excellent clue. Finally, Letter Jam is definitely not the first game that asks you to hold your cards facing away from you with the goal of figuring out what they are. That honor goes to 2013 Spiel des Jahres winner Hanabi. And I've been waiting so long to say this, but with all respect to the jury and to Antoine Bowser, Hanabi is balls. Hanabi systems for giving clues ask you to eliminate communication, except at its heart as a game, it always knew that players will find other ways to communicate, except it's not allowed, except it's expected, except it's not allowed, except it's all horseradish. And there's never been any point in harping on Hanabi because people were enamored with the whole, oh my god, I can't see my cards concept, and why not let them enjoy themselves? But now, we have Letter Jam. Each round, everyone can pitch their clue. They're obviously not allowed to say what it is, but also they're not allowed to reveal much else about it. You can say how long the word is, and you can say how many of the player's letters it's using, but crucially not which one. So if we're still going with male, we couldn't say that we're using pogs and vagabonds letters. We can also say if we're using bonus letters and how many, but we can't obviously say which ones, and we can say if we're using the wild letter. That's all the information you are allowed to give, and that's fine because it's okay, it's self-contained. The game doesn't need you to say anything else, and at the same time it's tense because you don't know whether you want to use the player's word who's using more letters but perhaps involving the wild letter, or the other player's word who's using less letters but involving more players. I know that sounded confusing, but the point is, you don't know what happens until you press that button, and why would you want it any other way? So at 20 bucks, this is obviously a steal, right? Well, not necessarily. It depends on what kind of word party game you are looking for. If you want the raucous highs of Codenames, this isn't quite it. It's more methodical, cerebral, and builds up to its alphabetical catharsis at a steadier pace. Nor is it easy to explain, which isn't helped by a theme that makes about as much sense as any given page of any given William S. Burroughs novel. The poker chips are jam fruit, the cards with letters look like they arrived from Tron, the deduction sheet looks like it traveled in time from a board game in the 60s, and the cover looks like Dali had an idea, started painting it, realized it's rubbish, and just left it in his loft. Whilst Codenames gets away with its minimalist, let's just be honest, cheap approach, it does so because it's consistent. And Letter Jam is not, it's weird instead, and I think I like it all the more for it. And you know what? I think you might like it too. So if you get it, we can jam it together. Maybe really smoosh our feet into it, you know, just surround ourselves in letter jam. And this is going nowhere, and just as well, because it's the end of the video, and now you need to, well, you know what you need to do. You need to subscribe to the channel, you need to click all the videos that appear here, and go watch them next. Because whilst letter jam is over, our fun doesn't have to.